Episode 52. Eat Me for Free. Since all the hotels in Washington were part of the Foster Corporation, Ivana and Bruce were no longer allowed to enter any of them. Bruce felt that Ivana was embarrassing, so he left in a hurry before the guards arrived. Ivana chased after him but was mercilessly thrown outside, into the elevator. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. She stared blankly at the elevator as it went down. She kept saying his name. Bruce. Jade had taken a look at Ivana carefully, especially at Ivana's belly. If they had done as they said, she should be 3 months pregnant by now. But her figure was the same as before, and most importantly, she was still wearing high heels. Jade began to doubt whether Ivana was really pregnant. She wondered whether the whole thing was a scam from the start, and if so, whether Ivana had just lied to Jade or also tricked Bruce. She decided that she didn't care anymore because she had nothing to do with them now. Let's go. Let's sit down and eat. Dario's earlier coldness disappeared, and his eyes became gentler. He held Jade's hand and was about to go forward when he saw that she did not dare to move. Just as he was wondering why, he saw Jade look at him in surprise. What's wrong? Jade lowered her head and fiddled with her fingers. She asked softly, Dario, that person called you Mr. Foster just now. Are you the boss of this hotel? She was getting increasingly anxious. If that was the case, then he must be very rich. Dario whispered in her ear, I only have some shares. Although I have the least shares, I am also one of the bosses here. Jade nodded in doubt. So that's how it was. Having shares in such a big hotel also meant that he was very rich. She could no longer believe that the phone and the clothes he gave her would cost as Dario said. While she was still thinking, Dario pulled her into the best seat in the restaurant. This was his exclusive seat, and he could see the entire city of Washington. No one except him dared to take this seat. Order whatever you want. Dario passed the menu to her, but Jade was so scared that she froze, just after opening the first page. The dishes here were so expensive that even a piece of bread would cost $16. Dario, let's go to another place to eat. Jade looked a little embarrassed. Don't worry. I booked a room here yesterday so we can eat here for free. It will be a waste if you don't eat. Jade was relieved after hearing that, but asked, Is it true? Seeing Dario nod affirmatively, she believed him. He was the boss of the hotel, and the bosses didn't need to pay for their meals in their own hotels. As Jade looked at the menu, she recalled Dario bullying Ivana. She could not help but burst out into a hearty giggle as she said, Ivana looked like she was about to cry. Ivana had been treated like a princess since she was young. She'd never been wronged like that night. When she was called ugly, it must have hit her hard. Of course, if you don't want to eat, you can eat me. I am also free. Dario narrowed his eyes and looked at her. She didn't know what he meant. Jade stopped, lowered her head, and ruffled her hair in a panic. She didn't know how charming she was to Dario, and smiled as she thought so. She then handed the menu to Dario and said in a low voice, I don't understand and I don't know how to order. You should order for me. The menu was full of fancy dishes. She didn't know how to order it. Dario didn't take the menu. Instead, he asked the waiter in the restaurant to choose the dishes. He was afraid that she wouldn't like the food. He ordered all the best dishes. During the meal, Dario was very gentlemanly and considerate. He prepared a spoon for her and fed her with his own hands. She blushed, and everyone in the restaurant peeked at them from time to time. Dario and Jade looked so good together that they were destined to attract discussion. Jade shyly looked at the spoon in front of her, but she refused to open her mouth. Don't feed me anymore, I can eat by myself. Everyone is looking at us. Although the people in this restaurant didn't go as far as those from before in the other restaurant who came over to watch them, Jade could still feel that many people were looking at her. Dario didn't care about all the people watching. It was as if they weren't even there. It's fine if you don't want to eat from my spoon. I can feed you with my mouth. After he spoke, Dario moved his mouth closer to Jade's. She was afraid that he would actually do it, so she quickly ate all the food with her spoon. If it wasn't for the embarrassment, she would have eaten whatever he fed her. After eating for half an hour, they were finished. Dario, can you drive me back to the school? It's almost afternoon now. If we wait any longer, I won't be able to make any money. After the meal, Jade anxiously watched the time. She still had to treat her grandmother. Every cent was important to her. What are you in a hurry for? Let's go for a walk first. But Dario saw that she was anxious to get going, so he carried her away. The people on the second floor were in an uproar. Jade covered her face from embarrassment and allowed him to carry her into the elevator and downstairs. She didn't dare to resist, because she knew that the more she resisted, the tighter he would hold her. That would just make her even more embarrassed. When they were almost there, Jade hurried down. "Don't hold me anymore. I will go out with you," Jade said as she pouted. After Ivana ran downstairs, she caught up with Bruce and held his hand. She forced a smile and pretended that nothing had happened. "Bruce, where are you going? I'm still hungry. Let's go somewhere else to eat." Ivana's voice sounded sweet in his ear. Bruce pulled his hand away. His cold eyes showed disgust, and his tone showed he was irritated. "My reputation is ruined because of you." When he thought about how Ivana had been called an ugly woman by another man and had to be chased out, he was full of anger. He wondered how Jade had found another man so quickly. She was a slut. She couldn't stay one day without a man. It was too much for her.